now.
The Radio Wemo Breakfast.
I don't know what college I want to go to, but I know I want to be a teacher. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor.
How come?
Because I would like to help somebody in need.
You wake up every morning and you know that kids are getting a really crappy education right now.
So you think that most of the kids here are getting a crappy education right now?
Oh, I don't think they are. I know they are.
The film is called Waiting for Superman. It's going to be showing at the World Cinema Showcase kicking off in Auckland this week. Lena Lamont's already seen it, though, and she's in to tell us all about it. Morning, Lena Lamont.
Good morning, Wemo.
Morning. Waiting for Superman. So it's obvious. At first I thought, oh, this is a nice, sweet film, and then, no, it's actually a documentary.
Yeah. It's a very good documentary. It's straight out of the US, and it is basically about the illness that is the US education system. Obviously the state education system, because I think private school systems around the world, they pay for themselves, obviously.
So, right off the bat, this is probably going to make us feel a lot better about ourselves.
Yeah. I felt very good about my state school education in New Zealand, definitely. I took a teacher friend along to see this film so that I could get a bit of balance, though, because this film is made by the guy who made An Inconvenient Truth. And as you may remember, when that big Al Gore run environmental film came out many years ago.
Huge.
It was huge. It really was, right? And heaps of people saw it. It's changed a huge number of people's views on the environment and climate change and global warming and all those sorts of issues. And then there was the inevitable sort of backlash that followed, and actually some of the science doesn't stack up and da-da-da-da-da. So, like I say, took a teacher friend along to see this film because this is Davis Guggenheim again, now dealing with the education system. What's interesting about this is he doesn't take sort of a left-wing liberal stance and just say it's the US government's fault, period. But it does seem a little bit like everybody's to blame.
Well, what is wrong?
Well, underfunding, bad teachers in some examples. I mean, the wonderful thing about a documentary rather than just like a newspaper article is you see examples and you see graphs and animations and everything that illustrate to you, oh my goodness, this is really dire. And
so they managed to get quite good access into these classrooms, obviously.
Yes, and particularly to educators, so idealists who have, the main guy in this is a chap called Geoffrey Canada, who entered the system however many decades ago, gunning to be a teacher. He makes this wonderful quip at the beginning of the film that says, when I entered teaching, I figured, within 2 or 3 years, if I was on my A game, I'd be able to sort out the whole education system. And of course, the whole audience laughs, thinking, ha ha ha. That's clearly not going to happen in any country.
Yeah.
So the whole point is they follow 5 families of economically underprivileged families, but who have very bright, very motivated children.
In one particular city or spread out across?
Spread out.
Yeah.
So I believe that there's Washington, there's Los Angeles, New York State. So, yep, definitely spread out. You get a real mix of nationalities. I mean, obviously everyone's American, but a real mix of ethnicities.
Yep.
But there are these 5 great kids who, if they were left to their own devices, would wind up in some state school down the road where they would come out with a really poor education despite being smart kids and almost inevitably wind up in prison or on the dole queue. And these idealist educators have set up charter schools where there are a set number of key places. But how do you get in? Not by you apply, but you don't get in on merit. You get in through a lottery. So
just like getting into America.
It is a bit like the green card lottery, that's right.
Yeah.
So, they'll be acknowledging this is a really sad situation. I've got 50 or 100 or 500 really bright kids wanting to come.
So, do you get the impression that even if you were a bright kid and not distracted by behavioural issues or anything like that, that you would still struggle to get a decent education?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because of all the other things that are against you, all the other kids who are not being parented to turn up to class and to actually listen and to study.
Yeah.
Teachers who are, I don't know about underqualified, but maybe disillusioned and underqualified and undermotivated to run their classes properly. And also financial issues that affect school, school boards and therefore school districts.
Because it's an interesting way schools are funded there, isn't it? It doesn't come from federal level it's just distributed to each state and then to each city.
That's
and the city
right. And
allocates
districts,
money.
right?
Districts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so basically it trickles down and trickles through so many different middlemen and middlemen.
Right. So, you can have a president at the top of the chain who's saying we need to make a difference.
Yeah.
But then fundamentally making that difference happen.
Really hard.
Really hard.
Yeah. Did you feel there was any, because ultimately there is always some type of manipulation by the documentary maker themselves to make you feel a certain way. Did you feel manipulated at all, or is it pretty much straight up?
It's good question. It's hard to know, isn't it? Because if you're being manipulated, sometimes you don't always realise.
You don't.
This doesn't feel like some of Michael Moore's documentaries where you think, oh, hang on a second. Even though I agree with what you're saying in principle, I don't think you've gone about it the right way.
Well, it's driven by his personality, isn't it?
Well, that's right. So I didn't feel overly manipulated by this. But it was interesting, in the audience I was in, there was somebody calling out, "What a load of rubbish!" And then the person I was next to going, "Well, no, actually, that makes a lot of sense."
It's quite good to get that sort of response in the cinema, though, isn't it?
That's right.
Oh, shake your fist
Yes,
at the
that's
screen.
right. I thought, oh my God, we're going to have like a fight afterwards. Everyone's going to be rounding on one another.
All right. Well, that there was called Waiting for Superman at the World Cinema Showcase.
Yes.
There's the website as well where people can find all the screening times and details.
Yep, it's worldcinemashowcase.co.nz. Now, the showcase kicks off in Auckland tomorrow, April 1st, and then it's in Wellington from April 14th. Unfortunately, it has to skip Christchurch and then goes to Dunedin from May the 5th.
Okay, excellent.
So there are excellent films in here.
Yep, on to the next one.
孩子，你一心想用这把刀来报仇，但它并不是一把杀人之刀啊！想知道它的来历吗？
Crikey. The Butcher, the Chef, and the Swordsman is the name of this one.
Yeah, this is not in the World Cinema Showcase, but it is a world cinema. It is a world movie. It's in Cinema Asia, in our various main centres. My goodness. I went along to see this film, to review it, and within the first 5 minutes, it's a martial arts movie, let me just say. Of course it's a martial arts movie. Right. It's fresh out of China. The director, Wu Shan, is typically has risen through commercials and music videos, and my goodness, you can tell that in the style and the aesthetic of this film. Do you know what? 5 minutes into it, I was just like, I'm quite a big martial arts movie fan, but I was like, this is just stupid, and if I didn't have to be reviewing this, I would walk out. So I stuck with it, and honestly, the film went from being 1 star, 2 star. This is actually kind of a 3, all the way to like a 3.5. It became hugely enjoyable.
Oh, all the way to 3.5.
Well, I don't know. Because this is what's crazy about it. There are basically 3 stories, 3 interlinking stories that surround basically a meat cleaver.
Yeah.
So the butcher, his story surrounds his kind of unrequited love. He's the crazy, buffoonish character, which I kind of have a little bit of an issue. I find them a little bit dumb and a little bit boring, but I do appreciate that there is a market out there for buffoonish creatures. Then you have the chef, the mid-story, which is fantastic. It's like Master Chef, and it's a revenge tale, and the evil characters in it are like, the evil guys like Jabba the Hutt, and the wise guys like Yoda. So you might be kind of keen on the whole little Star Warsy thing they've done with that.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Swordsman story, which of course is great. There's wonderful sword play and everything. But perhaps what makes this not higher than a 3.5 star film, is the director literally, he must have, I don't know, tick box of, okay, we'll have high definition black and white, where there are just like red features, tick.
Yeah.
Then we'll have animated, tick. Then we'll have some scenes where it's really lush and looks like those beautiful, like Curse of the Golden Flower, and those that tick. Then we'll throw in some hip-hop music and a little kind of rap scene, tick.
And a bit of hard metal.
And then, then a bit of hard metal at inopportune moments. So it's a real melange of, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Which actually ends up making it quite enjoyable. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a tricky one, but I totally recommend people go because it's a blast.
It might be right up there with Battle Los Angeles, perhaps.
I think actually it might be better than Battle Los Angeles, because at least this is a combination of a whole lot of things you have seen before, but probably not all in one film. It's a bit like a Tarantino film in that regard.
Okay. Well, that was called The Butcher, the Chef, and the Swordsman, and that'll be playing in all kinds of places around the show.
Yes.
Lena Lamont, look out for your reviews up in the Sunday Star Times and also online as well, lenalamont.wordpress.com. See you next week.
Thank you.
下，不吃饭呢？